Hi everyone, it's me, Eric Kimball, back here finally with another video. As many of you who watch this channel know, I've been building an addition on my house now for years. I have just finished the half bath behind me here. We've never had a downstairs bathroom, a guest bathroom, a half bath. Now we do, it's done. I want to show you this bathroom, and I want to show you in particular the mirror. All right, I've got the light switch right here. And we'll go in and I'll give you the 360 degree tour. We'll start with the window. The trim is farmhouse style. I have a video showing how I do the farmhouse style. That's all through this addition. And the cove and bead windowsill detail right there. Everything's painted here. Come around, we have the same farmhouse style in the door. I have a marble threshold, a tile floor. I have wainscot here. The base that the wainscot sets on is 1x8 pine, and I have a base cap on top of that. And then the cap on the top of the wainscot is the same cove and bead here. So it kind of comes together, the windowsill and the cap there. Now I will pivot around this way, and in this corner over here will be a cabinet. And I'm going to make a cabinet to go there to hold just a few supplies here. And we'll pivot around. We have the toilet, and we have a pedestal sink. I'm not fond of vanities. I like pedestal sinks. They're cleaner. And I want to show you that I have my PVC escutcheons down there that I showed how to make in a previous video. We got some kind of modern lights there. I have a fan. That's the Paruresis fan that can be turned on with a switch right here. I want to focus on the mirror. I made the mirror because I needed a mirror that would fit in this small space. And, you know, to go out and buy the mirror, you know, I'm not going to find one of that size. It's made with pine. And it's got black milk paint on it. My cabinet that I make is going to be matching with black. And it's somewhat distressed. I think you can see up here. I've distressed it, sanded some. So I made the mirror to fit the space. And I'm also going to have some art on the walls here. I've got some Mary Azarian prints, and I'll probably make picture frames in a similar manner. But there's a story behind the making of this mirror, and I want to show you the steps that I went through. There's lessons to be learned here, and it wasn't without its problems. The story of my mirror begins with this old dresser, and the mirror in particular. The dresser's on the front porch of an old manufactured home we own. No one lives there. There's no running water. There's no heat, but there is electricity and a still good roof. So the structure is good for storing things, and lacking a real workshop, the living room was my workshop for this little project. Here you can see my workspace, and I have removed the mirror from the frame. It's a very good quality, 1/4 inch thick mirror. Getting it out of the frame was easy. Getting it cut to size was not easy, as you will see shortly. I have disassembled the whole dresser and will reuse much of it on some other projects I have in mind. Here you can see 3 lengths of common pine ripped to 1 5/8 inches wide for the mirror frame. The overall frame size is relatively small, so it needs a narrow frame around it. Those wood pieces are longer than needed. So first, I cut the frame sides, exactly the same length. To do that with a simple chop saw, I clamp the 2 pieces together like you see here. Then I cut one end. With that one end now cleanly cut and the clamp still in place, I measured and marked my length. Then again, I cut the 2 pieces together. The top and bottom frame pieces will fit between the sides, and I want my finished frame to have an outside dimension of 17 3/4 inches. To determine the length of the top and bottom, I put the 2 side pieces together like you see here. Then I hold my tape at 17 3/4 inches on the right side and can then see that my top and bottom pieces need to be 14 1/2 inches. In this picture, you can see the frame unassembled in the background, and you can see a couple of the screws I'll use to assemble the pieces. After the frame is screwed together, I'll use a rabbet bit in my router, like you see here, to create a recessed edge for my mirror to fit into. Here you can see the rabbet cut onto a scrap of the frame-sized wood. This scrap with the rabbet cut shows me where I need to put my assembly screws to be out of the way when I make the router cut on the back of the frame. Those 3-inch construction screws are a simple, practical, very dependable way of assembling the frame. Here you can see that I've marked my frame side for screw placement. I used a Craig face frame clamp to secure the 2 pieces of wood while I drilled screw clearance holes through the first piece. Here you see the countersink bit I used for the screw heads. Here you see the screws in place. They make a very secure connection, and the heads are recessed below the surface so they can be filled. And here you see the assembled frame. I clamped the frame to my workbench and cut the rabbet. The router left rounded corners like you see here, so I marked the corners square, then used a chisel and utility knife to remove the unwanted wood. I used Bondo, also known as auto body filler, to fill in over the screw heads. I've used Bondo for milk painted furniture projects for years, and it does the job very well. Here you can see that I've overfilled some, and there's nothing wrong with that. Then I sanded the frame. Here's what the sanded down Bondo filler looks like. Then I hand sanded all the sharp outside edges to round them over. And here you can see the nicely rounded edges. With the frame all made, it was time to cut the 1/4 inch mirror to fit. I bought this new glass cutter for the job. I've never had a problem cutting glass. Clean it, get a straight edge in place, put some light oil along the cut line, then score once on one side. Tap the bottom a bit and the glass breaks. It has always worked for me, but I've always cut thinner glass, never 1/4 inch thick. Here's how it went. That was disappointing and almost a total disaster. I set up again to cut the glass to width and decided that I needed to press down much harder on the cutter when scoring. Bearing down harder on the cutter and tapping under the score worked better. I managed to get the mirror cut to width, but that first bad cut I made created the problem you see here. So I needed to recut the jagged top and get it straight. Obviously, I'm no expert at cutting 1/4 inch thick mirror, but it was good enough. The only problem being the glass was now 3/4 inches short. So I had to dig out the Bondo, remove the screws, cut the frame sides down, and reassemble. Then re-Bondo and re-sand as needed, and I was back on track. Milk paint comes as a powder. You mix it with water and paint it on. Milk paint does not go on smoothly like other paints. I don't worry about trying to get it smooth. I just get it on the wood and let it dry. After the paint was dry, I sanded it smooth and intentionally sanded through the paint some along the edges. Then I applied some reddish stain and rubbed it into the whole frame. After the stain was dry, I applied some of my homemade hoe handle rub to the whole surface. I have a video about making hoe handle rub. It's made with beeswax, boiled linseed oil, and turpentine. I used a heat gun to soften it up a little bit. After the frame was covered, I rubbed off the excess with a soft cloth. This left a smooth, natural, protective finish, but some sort of polyurethane would have been easier and worked just as well. To hold the mirror in place, I used glazer points. I pushed them into the soft pine with a stiff blade putty knife. Then, for extra hold, I decided to fill the gap and seal the perimeter of the mirror with silicone caulk. I signed and dated the project, and that was it. I took a quick selfie before taking the mirror home and getting it in place. I secured the mirror to the wall with 4 truss head screws like you see right here. That's the story of how I made a simple custom-sized mirror with some rustic flair for my bathroom. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll see you in the next video.